Behold, my glorious supporter, Flipz, has requested a Parley tutorial video. Flipz says, a while back you mentioned wanting to do a Parley tutorial video. Yes, I did. Here's your chance. Explain to newcomers what Parley is and how to request it, and if you wish, perhaps explain to us veteran Parley patrons a thing or two about Parley that we should know but don't. What a lovely invitation. Thank you, Flipz. Sure, I will. Parley is a system that I use to support what I'm doing for a living, where people who support me directly financially for $9 a month, I'll elaborate on that in a minute, can get a video like this one about whatever topic they like, and I post them here on this Pantaloon Saloon channel publicly. My philosophy about making stuff is that I want everything to be free for everyone, and for people to support me because they want to, and what I can offer in return is participation in that live stream of videos and live streams. So this is one way you can do that. You can just get videos made about what you want, and everybody can enjoy them, but you get more targeted videos about a subject you're interested in. So I'll talk more about how you can get Parley. I mentioned $9 a month, but I have a pledge syncing system. I call it pledge syncing. This means that you can give me $9 a month anywhere and get Parley. You can do it on Patreon, which is what most people do, but you can also do it through YouTube members on the main channel, the Zandypants channel, which is linked in the description, or I'm sure I'll eventually be able to do it on the Pantaloon Saloon channel. If you're from the future, you can check if you can do that. That's just that big join button next to the subscribe button. And you can also do it on Twitch if you do a Twitch sub. Now on Twitch, I can't set how much the sub tiers are for, so you have to do $10 on Twitch. That's what counts as the $9 tier, but I originally set it as $9. I don't want to make everyone charge $10 just to make it regular. So if you give me $9 a month on Patreon, or through a YouTube members system, probably on my main channel, but here if it's available, or if you are a tier 2 sub, a $10 sub on Twitch, then you get Parley. It's automatic, so I have it synced up with Discord. What will happen is, as long as you've got your Discord account connected, the moment that you become my, I'm going to call them patrons, but it can be, again, on Patreon, YouTube, or Twitch, anywhere, you'll automatically be added to my Discord server and given a role that gives you special access to some of the channels on my Discord server where you can request Parley. There's a channel on that server called Parley that you'll have access to, and people who are not Parley certified don't. You can just type in your request and I'll make it. That's it. It'll become a public video here, and you'll be notified through a Patreon weekly post that I ping on that Discord server. So it should be easy to find. I mean, the names of the questions, of course, are a little obscured, but I basically just turn them into a title. So ideally, if you ask for a video and you're following the Pantaloon Saloon channel, you should just see a video and think, huh, I'm interested in that. Oh, it was your request. So theoretically, you shouldn't need to be notified when they happen, but just in case people want that or don't like watching through all the content here or some such, just so it's less confusing, I do try to make weekly posts on Patreon that catalog all the Parley that I made that week, so it should be easy to find. And even if I'm behind on that, you can always ask, where is it, how's it going? It generally takes me a week or two. Sometimes I get backed up. Some of these are from as much as a month ago, but that's not a big deal. I'll get to them eventually. I try to keep as on top of it as possible, but sometimes there's a lot at once, which is totally fine. A lot of people really like it when there's daily Parley. I do. It's fun. So that's the long and the short of it. That's how you get it and request it. The few restrictions on what you can ask, there are very few restrictions. Folks, we're talking, I mean, as long as it's appropriate for public discourse, I'm pretty much raring to go. It can be a personal question. Again, as long as it's a respectful, even if it isn't a respectful question, I guess I'll try to answer it. Asking something disingenuous, you couldn't say something like, please teach me how to do something that is illegal and which you will be accountable for. I can't do that, but as long as it's something that I can feasibly do, I have never gotten a Parley request that I outright said no to. And of course, if I somehow did, I could always give you a refund. But to give you a simple example, very occasionally I'm asked Parley requests. There's one that I'm still working on right now. Free William asked me to draw a larva derpy version of each Warframe as a little larva frame. I'll link below what the genesis of that one. That's just too much work for a single Parley video. It would take a long time, like more than an hour or two. And so I decided that was too much work. I'm still trying to figure out how that can be made into a request that is of the appropriate length. So that's a restriction. It can't take an unreasonable amount of time, and it can't take much preparation. Those are basically the only restrictions. If I can answer it in this format on the spot, then you're pretty much good to go. Again, unless it's even if it's an unreasonably large question, I can make it be, a half hour or an hour at the longest. It's only if it's a request about I actually need to do something that we get into the territory of I just can't do it in that amount of time. It's just not physically possible for me to perform that action that quickly. So those are some restrictions. And of course, I can basically put some extra stuff up on the screen, the title of my abbreviation of the question. And sometimes I'll, do a picture in picture and look at a web page or something. And that's all fine. I've been asked to read fan fiction before or narrate a comic. I was asked to do a tier list. So asking me to prepare the tier list would be too much. It would just be too much work for the session. But if you supply a tier list and you want me to figure it out, that's totally fine. I have a few of those. I'll give you an example of one below. What else have we gotten? Lots of and short things too, all the time. Is water wet? Will the banana monoculture become a problem going forward? Those are some classics. There you go. Pretty much anything. Again, I would say there really aren't restrictions as long as you are familiar with the format. If you've been watching Parley and you don't try to make it be something that's more of a commitment than it already is, then I would say it's pretty much impossible that you'd ask something that I wouldn't be able to do. And the whole thrust of Parley, of course, is that according to the fact that people buy Parley for most months of the year, apparently people like what I have to say off the cuff about something. So you can ask me about something I don't know about, and I'll briefly look it up if I feel lost. But I don't have to know about the thing to say something about it. I can absolutely waffle about something without being educated about it, and I'll acknowledge that, of course. But you're welcome to ask things that I don't know. I'm not uncomfortable with discussing that. It's all in good fun here. And so as long as you're not expecting me to do a research project on it, then I think the main restriction on Parley is just that the expectations of the requester need to be set properly. You just need to trust me to be genuine and do my best to answer the question in a satisfying way without taking too much time, but without being stingy with my time. You paid me to make a thing, and I want to honor that payment. That being said, for Parley to be a thing that works, I need the freedom to answer the question the way that I feel is appropriate, and that may be something slightly different from what you intend. I would say then that the weakness of Parley is asking factual questions, because I probably just won't know, or I might not answer the way you're looking for. You can always be really specific. Some Parley requests are like one sentence. Others of them have been multiple paragraphs. Some of them come with supplementary materials. Some of them don't. There's a whole range, and I'm good with whatever you like. We've been asked quite a variety of different Parley questions. I did talk a good amount about what I think about different Parley requests. If you want that, I don't think you should care about that. But if you do care about that, I did make a video like that. I was asked by Liliana to make a video about where I thought different recurring Parley requesters fell on the alignment chart, lawful good, chaotic evil, that thing. I'll link that below as well. Lots of examples below. And that was interesting. I talked a little bit about how that thing I just said about how factual requests are interesting. Sometimes I could, this doesn't really happen, but I could imagine someone could ask a really rigid question, and then the answer is probably just going to be kind of boring. I think that what's interesting about Parley, to get toward the end of my discussion a little and talk about why I do this, what I think is interesting about this, where it's going, is that it self-corrects in a way, because you see so many examples, you get so many examples of Parley, that it's usually easier to get to the general mindset of what would be interesting to hear me talk about. You all, as people that I hope enjoy the things that I make, you kind of know what you enjoy about what I make, What's interesting is this old adage that the audience doesn't know what they want. That's true, but it's not completely true. It's not like you have no idea, It's just if you suddenly became my brand manager, I mean absolutely no offense, you would probably get it wrong. You would tell me I'm something that I don't exactly want to be. But it wouldn't be something completely unrelated, And so what Parley results in is a system where I'm given some range. I'm asked to do things that are a little but not too much outside my comfort zone. And as somebody who live streams frequently, that is a skill of mine. I am pretty all right outside of my comfort zone a lot of the time. And so Parley is this nice, it's just the right amount of a nudge to do something a bit different that keeps it fresh for people that like watching the other things I make. And it also keeps it away from, I wouldn't do any of this of my own accord. You would never get any of this as a video without me being asked to make it. I would never think to do it myself. Not none of it, but very few of these requests are things that I would think, oh, I'm just going to go make that. This is maybe one of the, okay. This is one of the very few that, okay, yes, I did say I wanted to do that myself. But anyway, you get the point. It's very meta. It tickles my fancy that that the Parley tutorial is a Parley request. So that's wonderful. Yeah, and yet it keeps this careful balance is what I was trying to say. The fun thing about Parley to me is that it's kind of collaborative. It's almost like you all make the videos on the channel and I'm just a voice actor or an actor that is supposed to do the thing. Because my normal videos and streams are not acty at all, it's just me, it does have this feeling of, while I don't have to pretend to be someone else, I do have to sort of slip into an assigned role to some extent, which is kind of fun. I normally wouldn't talk about such a thing, but I'm being asked to, and so I have to think, all right, well, I'm gonna present myself talking about this thing, you know? And so while it doesn't ask me to be someone I'm not, it still encourages me to go in a different direction than I otherwise would, which I think is kind of cool. And having a channel sort of run by the audience is also a very humbling, exciting, and really therapeutic experience. It makes me feel a lot better about the thing that I do overall, that about a third of the things that I make are not things I choose to make, and yet they're good things for me to make. They're well suited to me making them. You all have been excellent Parley requesters. I could not ask for better partners in crime. I think that's pretty much all I have to say about Parley stuff. I would say if you have any further questions, please put them below. I'll try to go a little bit longer in the comments section for this one. I admit that one of my weaknesses on this channel is getting back to comments because I put videos up so frequently, very frequently, almost every day. And so it's hard to keep up with all the comment sections, whereas on my main channel videos, I frequently get to almost all of them. And I'm quite proud of that, of course, but it's unmanageable for videos that come out this frequently. I just can't get to every single one, but I'll try. And certainly if you have any questions at all, you can DM me on Discord or Twitter. And if you have any questions about getting Parley, maybe there's another way you would like to get it. You don't want to use Twitch or YouTube or Patreon, or you have questions about those services. A question that I've been asked somewhat frequently that I guess I'll quickly answer here is, Zandy, it's the opposite. I don't care which service. Which service do you want me to use? So in other words, maybe you don't like Patreon, but you're fine with using YouTube. Maybe you're the opposite. You don't care whether you use Patreon or YouTube, so you're asking which one should you use if you just want to give me more money. You get the same things. So provided that you don't mind losing out on the minor benefits that you get on the different platforms. So on Twitch and on YouTube, you get a sub badge and stuff. If you don't care about that stuff at all, I'm not saying you shouldn't care about that stuff, then the order is Patreon, YouTube, Twitch, in order of how good they are. I don't know why it was a clock. I get the most money on Patreon, I get less money from YouTube, and then I get the least money from Twitch. If you want to know generally, it's about 90% of the money, 70% of the money, and 50% of the money. Patreon, YouTube, Twitch. The order in which you get the most perks is kind of the reverse. On Twitch, you get the most stuff. On YouTube, you get less, but you still get a few other things, like a sub badge. And then on Patreon, you just get my perks. You don't get anything else. And so you kind of are getting what you pay for. And personally, I think it's much more important that you come to support me where you're comfortable. The only thing I ask of you is to consider supporting the entertainment you enjoy if you're able to. It's not for me to say, oh, but I don't want that support. No, ridiculous. You do whatever you want. And it's really no skin off my back. So please don't feel like, just because I get more on Patreon, you should feel pressured to go there. No, I mean, I offer the other services because I truly don't mind. I would be happy, actually, really, I genuinely would be happy if after this video went up, I got less patrons and more Twitch subs at tier 2 and YouTube members at the $9 level, if that's what you prefer to use. I think the main thing I have to say to the veteran Parley people is you probably knew almost all of this, but if you want to do it somewhere else, you can. That's totally fine. A few of you already have. I get messages, yeah, every month or two, maybe I get one where somebody says, I'm going to swap over to YouTube. Just so you know, you'll see me canceled on Patreon, but I still want the thing. I'm going over to YouTube, and I get to inform them, don't worry at all. The system will automatically keep you Parley certified. You can just keep going like nothing changed, and you're good to go. There are ways I'd like to improve this system, but overall, I'm really happy with it. It was originally inspired by something another creator does, but I feel like they did it in a really limited way. They put up all the videos at the same time at the beginning of every month, which I thought was kind of a mistake. A lot of them were, the expectations weren't set at all, basically, properly at all. And so a lot of the requests were things that this person didn't really have a lot to say about. I also, meaning no offense to this person who was great inspiration, but I don't think it's a great fit for them. They are a pretty fact-oriented person, and so they got asked a lot of questions that are either factual, so they're very boring to answer, at least in my opinion, or they're things that are open-ended and they are not as good at answering that type of question. Whereas I am the opposite. I'm not that interested in the raw facts. I'm much more interested in interpretations and perspectives, ways of looking at a thing. And you all seem to be interested enough in my perspective to create a glorious synergy. That's right, my content creator build craft. Thanks for the question, Flipz.